In March 2023, the MSC Arena embarked on its maiden voyage from Guangzhou Port in China to its owner, Mediterranean Shipping Company. The first of 6 ships that Zhengzhou Yangzi Xinfu Shipbuilding Company was commissioned to build by the Swiss-based container shipping company. Nicknamed the Maritime Marvel and the Jumbo of the Sea, MSC Arena overthrew Evergreen's the Ever-A-Lot, the first ship in the world to surpass the 24,000 TEU mark, to become the world's largest container ship. So how was it built? How big is it? How much can it carry? Welcome back on Factory Frontiers on YouTube. Relax and sit back as we take a look inside the world's largest cargo ship, the MSC Arena. To start us off, how was MSC Arena built? In 2021, the Mediterranean Shipping Company SA, which is simply known as MSC, currently the leading container liner company in the world, commissioned Zhengzhou Yangzi Xinfu Shipbuilding Company in China to build not 1, but 6 mammoth cargo ships. These new vessels would be added to the company's fleet of over 700 as part of its expansion efforts, the largest fleet expansion to be seen in history. And so, in November of that year, construction work on MSC Arena, the largest afloat on our seas yet, along with its sister MSC Tessa, officially began. Despite the sheer magnitude of the two vessels, the building process happened pretty quickly. In fact, MSC Arena reportedly stayed in dry dock for just 144 days, with the dock assembly kicking off in June of the following year. As expected, it was a massive undertaking, but by August 10th, the ship was floated for the very first time, marking a significant milestone. Fast forward a few months later, on October 29th, it was officially floated out. By February of 2023, the MSC Arena was completed and the building company then commenced rigorous sea trials to ensure everything was shipshape before its big awaited debut. Once the trials were done and marked as successful, it headed to the Jiesheng Zhoushan shipyard for a few final touches before it was ready for delivery in early March. Now, let's talk about its maiden voyage. The MSC Arena's first ocean-crossing journey in March of 2023 was quite the itinerary. It set sail from Qingdao, then headed to Busan before making its way back to China. From there, it set off to Singapore, Italy, and Spain, passing through the famous Suez Canal along the way. On its return journey, it made stops at various ports in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. For a ship of such colossal size, there's no doubt that MSC spent a pretty penny in construction costs. According to estimates by Offshore Energy, the shipping company spent more than $600 million on MSC Arena, along with 3 other massive ships delivered by Zhengzhou Yangzi Xinfu Shipbuilding Company in 2023. So, to the big question, exactly how massive is MSC Arena? The MSC Arena is the world's largest container ship for a reason. For one, it spans 399.9 meters long and stretches 61.3 meters across. That's about 1,312 feet and 201 feet respectively. For perspective, a standard outdoor track is 400 meters around. That is how colossally long this vessel is. Unloaded, the MSC Arena weighs a staggering 240,000 tons. However, it's not its length, width, or weight that places MSC Arena at the top of the table. In fact, the cargo ship shares similar dimensions with many other vessels of its class, including the previous title holders Ever-A-Lot and OOCL Spain, as well as its sister MSC Tessa. What sets MSC Arena apart is its massive capacity. At 24,346 TEUs, it sits comfortably above Ever-A-Lot, Tessa, and OOCL Spain, which have a capacity of 24,004 TEUs, 24,188 TEUs, and 24,116 TEUs respectively. Now, if you don't know, TEU, which stands for 20-foot equivalent unit, is a unit of measurement that is used to measure the capacity of container ships as well as ports. 1 TEU is equivalent to a 20-foot long container that's 80 feet tall and 8 feet wide. That means that MSC Arena could fit and carry 24,346 such containers. Its unique design allows up to 25 20-foot containers to be stacked on top of each other. For perspective, this is as tall as a 22-story building. Now imagine several such stacks arranged in numerous rows. That's what the MSC Arena looks like when loaded to full capacity. And with the average weight of a 20-foot TEU container averaging 2,500 kilograms, and they can be heavier than this, you can imagine the massive weight this vessel can carry for weeks or months on the ocean. With such an impressive capacity, MSC Arena is no doubt a crucial player in today's global trade and logistics. To give you an idea of just how big it is, this clip showing the MSC Arena shows cars as no more than the size of ants next to it. Notice the other ships as well. They're nearly insignificant in size compared to the imposing MSC Arena. Now imagine a human being standing next to it. You get the idea. First of all, it's important to note that the MSC Arena sails under the Liberian flag, but we know that the owner is based in Geneva, Switzerland. So why a Liberian flag? Well, the Liberian flag is often called the flag of convenience, and for good reason. The whole idea behind a flag of convenience is registering a ship or sometimes a company in a country with few legal and bureaucratic restrictions and, more importantly, low tax rates. Liberia is one such country. In fact, it reduced its ships' registration fees back in 2000 and further dropped its tonnage tax by 75% to stand at 10 cents per ton. In addition to the low fees and lenient regulations, Liberia offers something every large shipping company wants: anonymity and protection from financial accountability. As you can imagine, this was very attractive for shipping companies from all around the globe. So much so that today, over 4,400 ships, which translates to about 12% of all global shipping, actually fly the tiny flag. That's like 1 in 10 ships in the ocean. MSC Arena, along with several other vessels in the vast MSC fleet, are among the ships that fly this flag. But it's not Liberia that's in this business alone. Other flags of convenience include the Bahamas, Panama, Marshall Islands, Greece, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malta, Cyprus, and China. Now, the flag and of course the sheer size of MSC Arena are not the only things notable about the jumbo of the sea. From the outside, the vessel is truly a sight to behold, and the theme is red, black, and a bit of white. The hull, which is the part that is mostly submerged in the water, is red. The freeboard, which is the part of the ship's body that you often see, often considered the visible part of the hull, is painted black, and the initials MSC are displayed across it in white. The name of the ship, MSC Arena, is painted also in white near the front of the ship, which is also known as the bow. The main deck, also known as the superstructure, as can be seen from the outside of the ship, is red. Stepping into the ship, it's no different than any other large cargo ship. It's divided into various sections for different purposes. Below the main deck are the cargo holds or bays. Yes, container ships do carry cargo below the main deck. That is, the area between the bottom of the vessel and the main deck. In short, this is the area covered by the hull that you can't see through. This vast open space that is divided into different numbered sections stretching from bow to stern, and to the different sections that are made to accommodate various types of cargo in a way that keeps the weight distribution nice and stable. Containers within these sections are stacked on top of each other and are then secured in place using twist locks and lashing. This system is intended to keep the containers in place, especially when the ship encounters rocky waters and sways from side to side. The stacking below the deck can reach several layers, with enough space in between for the movement of the crew as well as container handling equipment like cranes. Each bay also has a hatch cover that can be opened during loading and closed as the vessel is in transit. Something else that you'll find on MSC Arena's below deck is the engine room. This is located towards the rear end of the ship's hull, as is with all other container ships, and it's where you'll find the massive engine that powers the vessel. Moving up to the superstructure or upper deck, there is even more room for more containers. This space is sectioned by what is known as cell guides, which create several rows and keep containers stacked organized for easy loading and unloading. You can see these vertical metal structures clearly on the MSC Arena as they are painted red, similar to the hull. So containers are stacked vertically within these sections and secured to each other using twist locks, just as with the bottom deck. Now, for a ship that can carry over 24,000 containers, the cell guides don't typically indicate how high the containers can be stacked, and often container stacks go a lot higher. Also, on the upper deck are two visible structures, the bridge and the crew's accommodation. The bridge, which is near the middle but closer to the bow, is where the ship's navigation and control systems are located and stands taller than the container towers. Its strategic location and height help the ship operators get a full, unobstructed view of the surrounding waters. Since it is one of the most crucial parts of the ship, there is always an officer on duty at the bridge, whether it's day or night. Aside from manning the vessel, this part of the crew also monitors the various control systems and communicates with other vessels within the vicinity and along with port authorities. The accommodation facilities, the only other notable structure on deck, are located near the rear of the ship. This too is strategic as it's the least noisy part of the ship, far away from the hustle and bustle of cargo handling activities. These facilities are where the crew resides and include the sleeping cabins, the kitchen and dining hall, recreation spaces, as well as other crew facilities. Overall, even though the ship is truly massive, there's order and organization to all the chaos, which helps maximize space and cut down loading and unloading time at ports within its route. While we're inside the MSC Arena, let's talk about the crew. All ships, including container ships, have crew on board. This team usually includes officers who are trained to handle different operations, from complex stuff such as navigation and engineering to cargo handling, maintenance of various parts, and housekeeping. How many crew members are aboard ships typically varies from vessel to vessel depending on many factors. They can range from a dozen to hundreds. Now, for a ship such as MSC Arena, you'd expect numerous crew members at any one time, right? Well, with advancements in shipping and autonomous systems, fewer and fewer crew members are needed on container ships these days. In fact, MSC Arena only has about 20 to 25 crew members at a time, sometimes less. This number typically includes anywhere from 6 to 14 main officers, that is, the people directly responsible for steering the ship and making sure every process runs smoothly, and 6 to 14 crew assistants whose job is to assist the main officer. The crew is divided into the engine department, deck department, and stewards department, with the head of the entire operation being the captain. Basically, the crew is equipped to live at sea for months at a time and work in harmony to ensure everything runs smoothly. Now for the technical bits. The MSC Arena is powered by one massive 110,000 horsepower engine. This powerful engine allows the vessel to reach a maximum speed of 24.5 knots. This translates to about 28 miles an hour. For just how heavy the ship can be when loaded to full capacity, and considering the average top speed for container ships is anywhere between 16 to 25 knots, this speed is pretty impressive. But it's not the top speed that's most impressive about this ship's engine, it's the fuel-efficient design. Unlike its predecessors, this vessel's advanced engine is especially designed to conserve as much fuel as possible. MSC Arena and its sister ship MSC Laredo also have additional smart designs to use less fuel, such as big propellers as well as several large nozzles strategically placed along the hull to release air bubbles that create a barrier between the hull and the water, allowing it to glide with drag. These features in combination reduce water resistance and make the movement of the massive ship a lot easier without extra fuel consumption. With fuel efficiency comes fewer emissions and consequently less environmental impact. You see, MSC Arena is much more fuel efficient than smaller container ships, and given its massive size, it can carry way more load, which translates to fewer trips and lower costs for shipping companies. So it's basically a win-win situation for both the customers, ship owners, and the environment. But the shipbuilders didn't depend on just the fuel efficiency to reduce the vessel's environmental footprint. MSC Arena actually has other innovative environmentally conscious measures. For instance, it has a ballast water treatment system to help mitigate the impact of invasive species. Now, ships typically need ballast water to stay stable while sailing, so this water is usually taken at, say, one port and later released at another. The problem with this system is the ship might carry some species in that water to a new ecosystem, and that species becomes invasive to the local ecosystem. This eventually disrupts the biodiversity and native species of the new area. So the whole point of the ballast water treatment system on MSC Arena is to remove or neutralize harmful organisms from ballast water before it's released, thus reducing the risk of ecological damage. Something else worth noting while we're still on the ship's environmental conservation measures is the waste heat recovery system. Ships usually generate an enormous amount of waste heat during their operations, which is often expelled into the surrounding environment. This waste heat contains emissions such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and sulfur oxides, unburned hydrocarbons, and particulate matter. All these pollutants contribute immensely to climate change and the general health of humans and animals. With a waste heat recovery system, the MSC Arena captures this excess heat and reuses it to power some onboard processes, such as lighting and heating water. This not only saves the environment, but operational costs too. Now, navigating such a massive vessel between Asia, Europe, and the US is no doubt challenging, which is why the MSC Arena is equipped with the state-of-the-art autonomous navigation system that ensures the vessel uses up to 15% less fuel than similar container ships. Basically, the autonomous system relies on strategic onboard sensors and systems to interact with the environment around it and take actions that optimize performance and safety. That said, looking at footage of this mammoth vessel, you're probably wondering what's contained within these thousands of containers. Believe it or not, this massive container vessel actually ships everyday consumer goods with a focus on heavy or bulky cargo like home appliances, furniture, solar panels, textiles, furniture, machinery, electronics, solar panels, among other commodities and goods commonly shipped from the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area. Aside from finished goods, the ship also frequently transports raw materials. These goods are typically transported all the way to the Mediterranean and other far-off countries and regions. This doesn't mean that the ship doesn't or can't carry other kinds of cargo, including smaller-sized goods. You see, the MSC Arena, unlike smaller vessels, can not only accommodate more cargo, but can also carry a wider variety of goods. This unique feature makes the ship all the more adaptable to today's ever-changing market demands and conditions. So far, we've talked about all the great things about this mammoth of a vessel, the most significant of which is port infrastructure limitations. As shipbuilders continue to push the boundaries of how big container ships can be, the ports, which remain crucial in global transportation, haven't advanced as fast. You see, ports are needed to load and unload cargo, and in the case of passenger ships, drop off and pick up people. The reality is that not many ports around the world have the capacity to accommodate ships of MSC Arena's magnitude. So the vessel has a limited list of ports it can dock at on its voyages, and fewer ports mean less flexibility for the shipping company. There's also the issue of operational challenges. Even though the MSC Arena comes with an advanced navigation system that allows for autonomous operation, there's no denying that operating a ship of such magnitude is quite complex. Few ships exceed 24,000 TEU, and so not many ship captains and crew have experience handling such massive ships and the complexities they come with. The MSC Arena, to be specific, requires a truly skilled and experienced crew that can not only navigate the vessel with ease, but also understand the complex systems on board, including the safety equipment. And lastly is the environmental impact. Yes, MSC Arena has done a lot to reduce its impact on the environment. More specifically on sea and air. This has seen it become much more fuel efficient than other ships, both large and small. However, the impact in terms of emissions is still a far cry from what you'd call environmentally sustainable. Due to its size, MSC Arena still leaves quite a significant carbon footprint. Given the improvements we've seen in its design, there's hope that massive container ships of the future will continue to try to minimize their impact on the environment through the introduction of new technologies, so much so that they reach a point of sustainability. All in all, we must agree that the MSC Arena, the newest giant of the sea, is a technological marvel and a sight to behold, and it provides a glimpse into what the future of shipping will be like as more and more shipping companies move from smaller container ships to massive vessels to save money, time, and the environment. Those lucky enough to see MSC Arena at sea or port can marvel at its imposing size and sheer glory. So what do you think? Will the MSC Arena likely be dethroned soon?